Ari, welcome back.
Adam,
Yet another
thank you.
week.
Oh my God, thank you so much for having me here in your guest bedroom.
Of course. How are you? How are you doing?
Yeah, I was just telling Adam before we got on, I have severe tonsillitis right now, so if I seem less than enthused, well, I'm not very enthused about Aragog's burial, to be clear, but if I seem less enthused about this chapter and Felix, that's why.
You're about as enthused about Aragog's burial as like Ron is.
As Ron. Oh yeah, I made a comment about Ron too. But yeah, how are you? I hope you're feeling a bit healthier over there. Across the pond.
Everything's fine here in Chicago. Have you seen all the like flooding from the hurricane and stuff? Have you seen any of those videos? It's crazy.
It's really scary. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Did you see there was like this one, I can't remember. It was on TikTok. It was like taking over where this woman just decided, like ignored the
evacuation order.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was like,
that was wild.
Maybe just because I'm a person with like pets, that I would never do that. I would be like, there's no way that I'm not getting out of here as fast as I can just to make sure nothing happens to my pets.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird. It's like when I was in Florida, obviously I was in Orlando, so we didn't have to worry about storm surge in that way because we're so inland.
Yeah.
But there are so many hurricanes that like the rest of the states never hear about. Or just like tropical storms or whatever. So you just become like, oh, like
so used
almost
to them?
Like when the tornado sirens go off up here, where it's like,
you're
well,
like, no.
Is it like,
yeah, is it that bad? Yeah.
But the risk, like storm surge is so bad, and like your house will become flooded. It's not like if you're in the path of a tornado, there's like a very specific path that has to go.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like a tornado is a funnel cloud of like a very specific set space. Whereas like the ocean is it's all of it, mama. It's the whole thing.
It's all of it.
So it sucks. And then even like the craziest part is like all these people, it even like caused flooding in like North Carolina, which is crazy. Like not even on the coast, like from rivers and stuff and like dams, like when like were overtaken and it's crazy. Like entire towns have been like wiped out basically. It's crazy.
Yeah, there was this one woman I follow. I didn't even realize. I think she's in Florida or somewhere down south in that area. But she was posting about how like a bunch of trees fell on their house. So like there was a whole section of their house they just couldn't even go to and they were waiting to be evacuated and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, that is so scary. You just have to wait until you essentially get permission to like be evacuated from the area. Cause like there were trees that had fallen down so they couldn't drive over the trees.
Well, and of course there are like businesses or whatever that like aren't going to give you the day off. Like, because
America, because it's capitalism.
Right. Something else happened this week.
What?
Maggie Smith passed away.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about like natural disaster wise.
No,
I was like, what other natural? I know. Yes.
Human disaster.
Yeah.
Maggie Smith passed
away. A British
international treasure
has been lost.
Have you ever watched Tea with the Dames?
No, I've never watched the full thing. I've seen clips
you
from
have
it.
To.
I know.
It's so
and when
good.
I sent it to you, I was like, I have to watch. I can't believe I still haven't seen the whole thing.
Yeah.
Have you watched all of Downton Abbey with her in it?
I think I never saw the final season, but I've seen most of Downton Abbey. Yeah.
She's so amazing. She was like talking about that. I think I sent you. Did I send you the interview or did I send it to my mom? I can't remember. Where she was talking about how like they were like, oh, you're not in it anymore or whatever. And she was like, no. But like I was at this point, I had to have been like 110.
Oh, she was on Graham Norton. Yeah.
But then she said the same thing that she said to Judi Dench about like the box set. She was like, oh, they gave me a box set, so I'll have to watch it now because they've given
my
it
favorite is in that conversation with Judi Dench. She says, I must hasten because I don't have a lot of time left. Like the using hasten.
I must hasten. I know. I need to watch that. It's her, Judi Dench, one other actress,
Joan Plowright, and oh my god, I was just looking this up the other day. Fuck, what is her name?
I feel like I can picture her.
The Dames. It is Eileen Atkins.
Yes.
Is the fourth one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need to watch that.
Michael Gambon died a year ago the same day.
Oh, that is spooky.
Isn't that weird?
That is spooky.
Yeah.
The same day.
The same day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Albus and Minnie.
I've never seen the movie that she won the Academy Award for.
Yeah.
I must see it.
Michael and I were talking about that today as well. Because there was something that popped up. Was it on Disney Plus, maybe? When we were just looking at stuff to watch, there was something with her in it. And I was like, oh, we should watch like a bunch of like Maggie Smith.
Well, she's also great in The First Wives Club. If you've never seen The First Wives Club, she has a small role in it. She's so funny in that
Never
movie.
Seen the full thing of that either. I've only seen like parts of it.
She just has this scene with Sarah Jessica Parker, who's the new wife.
Yeah.
And she's like really fancy, and like Sarah Jessica Parker is like really chewing this salad while they're having this meal together. It's so funny because she's so disgusted by her, and she has these like one-liners that are just too good. And then the whoever comes to like take their, because it's at her house, but she has she has like a staff.
Yeah.
And so the person comes to take the salad plate, and she still has like her fork. She's like chewing on her fork because she's like picking her teeth or whatever. It's so stupid. And then she says to the staff member, she's like, take her fork. And then the staff member like holds the plate out so she can put her fork on. And Sarah Jessica Parker's character like clearly doesn't get it. And she's like, fork! And like points at it. It's so funny. And there's clips that have been going around. You should look up like her on the Carol Burnett show from the 70s. She was on like a sketch and did like a couple songs with Carol. She's just, she was one of a kind for sure.
She was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll need to watch.
And also Sister Act, obviously.
Oh, Sister Act, yeah, classic. Secret Garden.
Which is where I knew. Oh, I've never seen. And Hook.
Oh, yeah,
she's Wendy in Hook.
Yeah.
Crazy. Okay, so she in Hook was 56 years old playing Wendy.
Yeah.
Who looks like she's 112.
I know. I was just thinking that when I saw it, because there's been all these clips of her on Instagram and stuff. And I saw one and I was like, she looks like older than I've ever seen her in that.
Mm-hmm.
They must have really aged her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The makeup department went crazy in
that movie. I was like, wow, she was not that old. I was like, this was before Harry Potter.
Right.
She did not look that old in Harry Potter at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll have to watch like a bunch of Maggie Smith stuff. I think Downton is like, because obviously I loved her in Harry Potter, but Downton was the show that I fell in love with, like Maggie Smith as a person. Like, you know, I was like, oh, but like McGonagall, haha, for however long. But then I was like, oh yeah, no, because same thing with like what you're talking about with First Wives Club. She has a bunch of one-liners and they always land. Like there is not one line that doesn't land with her. She's incredible.
Do you know the scene? I think it's the first season. Maybe it's the second season. Series. Where she's like sitting in this chair with Dan Is it Dan? No, what's his name? Dan, whatever. The guy who plays the main guy in the first couple seasons, he marries Mary.
Dan Stevens.
Anyway, Dan Stevens, thank you. She's like sitting in this chair and talking, and then she like goes to like gesticulate, and she's sitting in a swivel chair, and she like moves, and she's like, what? What are we sitting in? And he's like, oh, you're sitting in a swivel chair. And she was like, is this new? Is this a new thing? And he was like, no, it was actually invented by Thomas Jefferson in the 1700s. And she was like, must I always be at war with an American? But then there was this girl, so this is off topic, but there was a girl who RJ sent me the TikTok. This girl was like, this is what Cora sounds like in every episode of Downton Abbey.
Oh.
She's fully like, oh, Robert, we must go to
Robert. Yeah, she does sound like that. Oh my God, yeah. Oh my gosh, she's amazing. But yeah, I said to Adam after, because I texted, Michael told me, he was like, did you see about Maggie Smith? And I was like, no, but that can only mean one thing if you're texting me that. I was like, did she pass? And he was like, yeah. And then I texted you to say, Maggie? Oh my
Maggie
God.
pissed. She pissed.
This is the tonsillitis. This is what's happening.
Sure, Ari. Sure.
Maggie
How dare
Smith
you denigrate
passed.
the name of an incredible dead woman?
She would have loved it. She would have loved that. Maggie pissed. Maggie pissed it. But yeah, and then I was like, we should have a moment of silence. So should we have a? I don't have my wand. I saw everyone went for their little wands in the air moment. But shall we have a little moment for the legendary Maggie Smith?
Maggie Smith.
Our mini forever. All right, shall we?
Shall we begin? All right.
Let's go for it.
This week, we read chapter 22 called After the Burial. What happens in this chapter?
So in this chapter, Harry finally, it's not his idea. Someone gives him the idea of how he can finally get this information that he needs out of Slughorn.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes down to see Hagrid for the burial. And gets some alone time with Slughorn finally. How about that?
He gets more than he bargained for.
He gets more than he signed up for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without giving away, without any spoiling it, because we got to go through it all together.
Can't spoil it at the top. We got to spoil it as we go through.
If I gave everything away in that first synopsis, you guys wouldn't even listen to the episode.
Right.
So, come on.
Skip right to the next one.
So the chapter opens with Harry being mad because he has not succeeded with the Malfoy situation or the Slughorn situation.
Right.
Hermione and Ron are a little preoccupied because they're about to take their tests, their apparition tests later the same day. So they're going over these leaflets. Hermione's like, forget about the Draco thing. You need to focus on the situation with Slughorn. Then there's like a random girl that brings Harry a note. He assumes it's from Albus, and he's like, oh, Dumbledore didn't say we were going to meet again until, I don't know, until more time had passed or something like that. And then he realizes, oh, it's not from Dumbledore, it's from Hagrid, saying that Aragog has died.
Oh
my God, devastating.
Aragog. I remember when Aragog was in Downton Abbey, and it was an incredible performance.
Who are you talking about?
Just
the voice.
Also, another great legend that passed, Aragog and Maggie Smith. Just two of our greats.
When Aragog was in Downton Abbey?
Yeah. You remember when he had a cameo role?
Just scurrying across the floor or something, like a normal spider.
Yeah.
For a second,
really
I thought
very method.
For a second, I thought the actor that did the voice of Aragog was an actor in Downton Abbey, and I was like, "Oh, Adam Slay for knowing that." But no.
Let me see who is the voice of Aragog. Aragog's voice is Julian Glover. Julian Glover.
I mean, maybe.
Wait, I have to click a couple more things to see. Why don't I just search his name? Dear Lord, IMDb is so slow.
Oh yeah, there he is. I do not believe he was in Harry Potter though.
You mean Downton Abbey?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I do not. I don't see Downton Abbey on here.
But he was in The Crown. He was Cecil. In one episode of The Crown. Cecil. He was in Game of Thrones for 31 episodes.
Oh, who was he in that? What's the character name?
He was Grand Maester Pycelle.
Oh, that's him. Oh, wait, I totally know him. Yeah, okay.
Yes, quite the legend.
Quite the legend.
No, he was not in Downton.
Oh my gosh.
What a shame.
What a shame. He made it into Harry Potter though, so good for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's like, oh, Aragog has died. And Hagrid's inviting us to come to the burial. And then in the letter, Hagrid's like, you and Ron met him and you know how special he was. And I was like, this letter was like the wildest thing that Hagrid has ever done to me, Adam. I was like, you're literally writing this about the spider that tried to kill them, because they definitely told Hagrid what happened.
Do you think they did?
Maybe they just never let him know?
No, I don't think that. I think they just were like, we got him out.
Okay.
We got him out of Azkaban.
Okay. They're like, we just won't bother him with that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that would make more sense because I was like, you're writing this to them after they almost died?
Yeah.
Okay, but maybe that would make more sense if he genuinely didn't know. I guess we don't have proof that they ever did tell Hagrid. I'm trying to think. No. And then he also was like, Hermione, I think you would have liked him.
Sure.
So Harry shows them the letter. Ron is like, absolutely not. I will not be going. There is no way. Which, like, we knew Ron wasn't going to.
You couldn't pay me.
Yeah, like, we knew Ron was not going to go. But Hermione makes a good point that she's like, I can't believe he's asking us to do this. Harry's like, well, we've gone down to see him a night before. But she's like, yeah, but like, with how crazy security is, the fact that like Voldemort is like confirmed to be like back and out and about, and he's just asking us to leave the school in the middle of the night. She was he could have made it
more clear in the letter where the burial's happening, though, because until it happens, I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be in the forest." He doesn't say like, "Oh, it's just behind my garden."
Yeah, but it's near my little pumpkin patch.
This 8-foot spider.
Yeah,
which is also crazy.
It's so funny to me because Hermione's like, "Well, he's already dead, so like." If it was a question of like helping him, maybe. But Ron quickly is like, no, not especially not. We're especially not.
He's better dead.
Yeah.
He's improved a lot by being
he was
dead.
like, trust me, being dead will have improved him, Hermione. I should also mention this whole time, Ron is hiding behind Hermione in case Lavender comes out. And I'm laughing because I hate it.
Sure.
I'm laughing so I don't cry. And then there's a moment where Harry, because Hermione's like, well, you definitely shouldn't be going, Harry. Like, don't even think about it. You got to be really, really thinking about how you're going to get this memory out of Slughorn. And Harry's like, all right, yeah, sure. I won't go. And he's like, well, I guess I just got to get lucky. I hope I can just get lucky with the Slughorn thing. And then Ronald Weasley is like, oh yeah, Felix Felicis.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Are they actually good friends of Hagrid? Now, to be fair, this is a giant spider, right?
Yeah.
This is crazy. But on the other hand, this is who Hagrid is. Like, so there's like a part of me that's like, it's kind of a bummer that they have this. Listen, I wouldn't go to this fucking funeral either. But I do not purport to be a good person. I feel like it's a bummer to me that he's dead. And yes, if they think they have to go into the forest to do it, sure, maybe that's why.
Yeah.
But like if he had said like, oh, I'm just burying him behind my pumpkin patch, like I feel like they could have just gone and been like, oh, sorry about that. This book has to happen the way it happens. I understand that. Thank you so much. But I was like, but he's dead.
The thing that I kept thinking was I was just like, Hagrid, you don't have an adult friend you can ask to come.
No. No, he doesn't.
It's just always, I'm like, you're like, oh, I can't face it on my own. I'm like, Hagrid, these are children.
The burial has to be at night or like dusk. Like it definitely could be the middle of the fucking day.
Yeah, when they could come down. Yeah.
Right.
Because I think what Hermione's saying is they genuinely don't think they would be able to get out of the castle. Like, obviously they have the Marauders map to get out, but I don't know how quickly one of those pathways leads to Hagrid's.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Ron is the one who realizes that Felix Felicis is the way to go about this. And Hermione's like, oh my God, yeah. Why did I not think of that?
Yeah.
And then Harry kind of hesitates because he's like, well, I was like saving it for something. And they're like, both of them are like, what on earth could you be saving? This is like the most important thing ever. What would you be saving it for? And then we, as the reader, get a little peek into Harry's been imagining, which is vague thoughts of Ginny breaking up with Dean, and then Ron being happy for her to have a new boyfriend who just happens to be Harry.
Yeah.
But also, this is where I get into would she have really fallen for him if he took Felix Felicis? Or would that essentially be like love potion kind of territory?
I feel like it's more the Felix Felicis would be able to like help him make a move.
Like give him the confidence,
like, the
that
liquid
he needs.
courage. Yeah.
The liquid courage. Yeah. Okay. Because I was like, if there was a moment where he could like be with Ginny, but then it was only because of the Felix Felicis, then like the next day she would be like, oh, I'm not really feeling this. But I'm like, that's like essentially a love potion.
Yeah, but I think it wouldn't change. It would just give him all the luck to like have the circumstances be like kind of correct.
Yeah.
Like how when he leaves, he starts their argument.
Right. But that he doesn't, that I'm fine with because he doesn't actually interact with her at all. Do you know what I mean? Like I was like, I just feel like that is also sketchy because it's kind of like,
but I feel like it's less that and more, I think the idea is like it's not about an effect it has on the other person.
On the other person.
It's an effect it has on you to make you seem like a cooler, more perfect version of yourself or whatever.
Right. Because obviously
it's the scene in Twilight when Edward catches Bella and then he catches all the items on the tray when she drops her tray in the cafeteria and he catches all the items.
That's Spider-Man.
Oh, that is Spider-Man. Does Edward catch something? Does he catch an apple?
He stops the car.
Oh, I don't know, girl.
But you know what? I'm not a huge Twilight. What's the Twilight fandom called?
Twigs.
I'm not a twig, so
I'm not a twig either.
I mean, I watched the movies, but I never read the books.
I did the opposite. I read the books. I never watched them. I watched the first one, and then
you've never seen them?
No, not the later ones.
Oh my God, Adam! I like want to watch you watch Twilight next time.
I want to force RJ to watch Twilight. Like I would also be enjoying it, but like he doesn't even know what the story is. So I do want to watch RJ like be like, what is happening?
Yeah. Okay. Next time I'm in Chicago, we'll do a little Twilight marathon. So
Twilight and the Anxious Millennials.
Yeah, Twilight and the Anxious Millennials.
No.
Twilight, it would be different. It would be a totally different vibe. It'd be like the emo millennials. Emo, like blue lit millennials. Like the blue lighting.
The color grading is so crazy in those movies.
It is. It's a very specific type of color grading that like I've never seen in any other franchise. But you know what? To be fair, the Harry Potter movies, as they go on, there's a very specific color grading. So neither are as bad as the Hobbit films. The Hobbit films are like this really weird, like glossy type of after effect.
That's another one. I only watched the first one.
So strange. Oh, fun fact. Did you know, sadly, Ian McKellen almost quit The Hobbit because they kept having him just act with like a green screen. And he like genuinely broke down because he just was so upset that he wasn't getting to work with actual actors. It was just like him by himself all the time. And I was like, I get that. That would be so isolating.
Right. That's not why you go into acting.
No. Oh my God. No. Especially him. Like
that's why you go into voice acting.
Yeah. If you want to do that.
That's a completely different thing.
Also his what do you call it? Not body double. Like the fake Gandalf body. I don't know what you would call it.
Is it like a person or a thing?
Like a thing. It's not an actual person.
Oh, like a dummy. A dummy.
Yeah. The dummy that they used for him. They apparently called it Michael Gambon because him and Michael Gambon would get confused all the time because this was when they were doing like the wizard movies.
Yeah.
So they named it Michael Gambon. So anyways, back to the trio. So yeah, they're like, oh my God, Felix Felicis. You got it. You got to use it. That's the answer. And so Harry's like, yeah, okay. Like kind of almost begrudgingly. It's like, all right. I'll use it for this. Yeah.
So annoying that because he's like, well, I guess I've dreamed about using it to get with Ginny and not like to kill Voldemort.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
not to like actually do anything of note.
Adam, that is the most teenage boy thing to ever exist. Though I'm like that tracks. I'm like correct.
Oh, for sure.
Or
He's
just
like
teenager in general,
dummy.
like teenagers.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're like, okay, great, yeah, that's what you're gonna do, Harry. Let's do that. Let's do the Felix Felicis. And then they see, I believe it's the Montgomery sisters, who we've never heard of before. Just these two sisters that go to Hogwarts, and that they look very upset because apparently their brother died due to a werewolf attack.
Why are they at school?
Yeah, great question.
Hello?
Do wizards?
That's crazy.
No, we know wizards have funerals actually because of this book. We actually know
because of this chapter.
maybe they're leaving later that day. I hope they get to go home. Poor girls.
That's horrifying.
Yeah.
Fenrir Greyback killed. And Harry's like, they don't do that. Werewolves don't kill. And Ron's like, no, sometimes they get carried away.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh, it must be that one. The one like, or Harry, I think, asks Hermione. He's like, did they say which werewolf it was? And Hermione's like, well, the rumor is that it's Fenrir Greyback. And Harry's like, of course it would be the one that Lupin told me likes children, attacks kids. So the bell rings. Ron and Hermione are off to take their apparition test. Harry heads off to potions. There's only him, Draco, and Ernie in the class because they're the only three that are young enough to not be able to take, or like not old enough to take the apparition test. When is Draco's birthday?
It's a day before Harry's, and that's why they're fated to be in love.
Are you being serious?
No, I have no idea.
5th of June.
Oh.
A Gemini.
He's a Gemini? Two-faced bitch.
Two-faced bitch. So Slughorn's like, just whip me up a little something. And they're like, okay. And like Ernie's like looking forward to this at first. Draco's like not interested at all. And Harry notices that he looks a little rough. He's not looking too great.
And I'm with Draco though. I would be like, this is a pointless class.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like,
100%.
What are you talking about? This is so stupid.
Yeah. So yeah, Harry's like, oh, he's looking pretty rough. He looks really pale. He's got like bags under his eyes. He's raggedy. And then Harry's like,
he looks as bad as Tonks.
Yeah, I know. He really keeps talking about how ugly Tonks is right now.
Yeah.
Like horrible Tonks looks.
Yeah.
So Harry finds essentially like a Half-Blood Prince's version of a potion recipe. So a little spruced up version.
Right.
And the potion is euphoria. So he's like, oh, I'm going to make this. And then Slughorn's going to be in a good mood. And then hopefully I can get him to talk to me about this memory. Which
so
honestly,
then I won't have to use Felix Felicis.
Yeah, so I won't have to use it. But honestly, this was a good idea, Harry. Especially because the potion is literally euphoria. So like, if he would have tasted it or something, he would have
heard Jungkook's voice. Yeah.
Yeah. He would have. And so obviously Harry's potion is the most impressive. Slughorn doesn't even really like say anything about the other two. He's just like, eh. And then Harry tries to get him to taste the potion, but he isn't Slughorn. Slughorn, as soon as he realizes he's in that room alone with Harry, he is like out the door. So Harry can't even get him to like hear the end of his sentence. So then Harry heads back to the common room disappointed because he's like, well, now I'm going to have to use Felix Felicis, I guess. So Hermione comes into the common room and tells Harry that she passed the test. She's very excited. And Harry's like, well done. How about Ron? And Hermione's like, oh, he just didn't pass. And then we find out because of half an eyebrow. Are we for real? Because of half an eyebrow?
Yes, because of Ari, he could splinch a finger off the next time he does it. I don't care if it's an eyelash. He should not be passing. This is life or death for these people. This is crazy.
I guess. I was like, an eyebrow? That's like a little bit of eyebrow hairs.
If you took a driving test and you hit the parked car when next to you, like you bumped it, you tapped it while you were trying to parallel park, yeah, also you shouldn't get your driver's license.
I agree with that, but like a couple of eyebrow hairs, I was like, that's a little harsh.
I don't care. That's crazy.
Half one brow.
Because you lose that brow. Okay, you lose half an eyebrow.
You got to grow back that eyebrow.
You got to grow it back. Next time you go and apparate, you lose another one. You're gonna start running out of the easy things to lose. Then you lose a toenail. A whole toenail's just gone.
My question then is, how are they allowed to be just practicing this if they're just splinching? Or like, do you know what I mean? What is the protection then? Because I'm like, okay, but you're asking them.
Wizards in the fully qualified wizards.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just because the professors are there, like what happened with who was it, Susan Bones, when her like when her legs splinch, so that it's like they can help you put yourself back together. I guess
because if you apparate on your own and you're whatever and you splinch, how do you alert any like? What do you do?
You're just stuck there, I guess, aren't you? Well, we find out in the next book, but that's because of Hermione helps Ron when it happens. But you're right that Ron does end up splinching himself in the future. So you're not wrong. So Hermione passed, Ron did not. They're like, well, how'd it go with Slughorn? And he's like, yeah, no luck. So I'm going to have to do the Felix Felicis. So Harry goes and gets it.
Can I ask a question about the leg again that I didn't bring up last time?
Yeah. About Susan's leg, you mean?
About Susan's leg.
Okay.
Is it a nude leg? And like the rest of her body has like a
I don't know.
Is empty? Or did the pant also go with it?
Like the leg and the butt cheek is just fully out? Yeah,
is
great
her
question.
Shoe? Because like I would assume the shoe
was
and
on
the sock
foot.
is on the foot, but then you would think like, what? Or was she wearing a skirt?
Yeah. Great question.
We're answering the important questions here on this podcast.
I don't know. That's why I'm like, was she exposed when her leg was just chilling there? Like, what was going on? Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Yeah. We don't know. I need more information. I mean, I don't really want to.
I don't need more information.
But what are we supposed to imagine with the leg?
Yeah.
So Harry ends up taking a mouthful of the Felix Felicis because he's like, well, I don't have to take a whole 24 hours worth. I can just take a mouthful. And then Ron's like, oh, it's a great feeling when you take it, even though he didn't actually take it. And Hermione's like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, I felt, like I had. So same thing. The placebo.
Okay, diva.
Okay, girl.
Sure.
So Harry takes it, sits for a moment, and then he feels an exhilarating sense of opportunity and feels like he could do anything. And getting the memory just suddenly feels like it'll be no problem at all. So then he stands up and he's like, oh, great, I'm going to go down to Hagrid's. And they're like, what do you mean? Why are you going down to Hagrid's? They're like, I just have a good feeling. I have a good feeling about going there. I feel like it's the place to be tonight. And they're like,
it's the happening joint. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the spot to beat.
Yeah.
And so Hermione and Ron are definitely not as confident, but he's like, oh no, trust me. I know what I'm doing. Or at least Felix does. And then Felix from Stray Kids burst through the door and began singing
Cooking Like a Chef, I'm a 5-star Michelin.
Oh yeah, or that, yeah. God's Menu. I was thinking of the Why Do I Keep Getting Attracted? 143. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then Harry's off. Oh no, I'm sorry. I should mention before Harry gets out of the common room, two things happen. Lavender sees Ron and Hermione seemingly alone because Harry is under the invisibility cloak in the boys' dormitory.
Leaving the boys' dormitory.
Leaving the boys' dormitory. And she's like, what were you doing up there with her? Harry walks between Ginny and Dean on his way out of the common room, accidentally bumping into Ginny a tiny bit, which causes her to like snap at Dean for always like pushing her through the door or something. And then he like makes some type of angry retort back, which makes Harry all excited. Yeah.
Okay. It's all working out for Harry.
Yeah. So Harry is able to walk right out the front door of the castle and out onto the steps at dusk. It is dusk. Dusk has come. Excuse me.
It's twilight.
Twilight. You hear that, Twigs?
That's what FK Twigs. She's actually like a huge Twilight fan.
Yeah, diehard. Didn't she date? She did date. Didn't she briefly date Robert Pattinson, I think?
Did she?
I think briefly.
They dated for 3 years.
Yeah, I remember they were together for a while.
Wow, I did not know that at all.
Yeah.
Wow. They just broke up last year.
Where was I? Yeah, he's able to leave the castle. Then he has the idea to walk past the vegetable patch. He's like, yeah, I think that sounds right.
Just a scenic little stroll.
Yeah, just a little stroll through the veggie patch. And sure enough, there is Slughorn and our girl Pepperoni. They're having a little chat. I know, we haven't gotten to see her a lot in this book.
No, only once.
Because does he take herbology anymore? Have we had a mention of herbology?
Yeah, we have. He's in he's in a herbology class in like the first chapter once they're in like classes.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. So they finish their chat. Pepperoni walks back off in the other direction, back to have dinner with Will, as per canon for us. Mm-hmm. And then Slughorn begins walking towards Harry, and then Harry has this like sudden urge to reveal himself, so he just like whips off his book. And then he's like, Slughorn is like, oh my God, Harry, how did you get out of the castle? What are you doing here? And Harry's like, Filch forgot to lock the doors, I guess. And then Slughorn's like, I'm going to report him, he really can't be doing that. And so then he's like, well, what are you doing? Why are you out here, Harry? And Harry's like, well, the situation is that Hagrid has lost his dear friend Aragog, an acromantula, a giant spider. And then Slughorn is very interested in this, not because of Aragog, but because of the venom that acromantulas apparently have. It's very valuable. So he's like, you know what, Harry? I'm going to go change out of this tie. It's a little too flashy, a little too upbeat for the occasion. I'll meet you back down here. I'll meet you back down here with some wine. And he's like, well, we can't really toast his good health, but we'll toast, that he had a lovely life. And so he's like, okay, I'll see you back here in a second. So Harry goes to see Hagrid. When he gets there, Hagrid is obviously like very emotional. He's wearing a black armband. He's like put one together for Aragog. He tells Harry that they're burying him near the pumpkin patch. Apparently, acromantula eat their dead.
Great.
Fun fact.
So fun.
So he was like, it was really hard for me to get him out of there. And I just want to say, someone please paint me a picture of how Hagrid by himself got the dead body of a giant spider out of like a nest.
Thank you. Because he died in the middle.
Yeah,
Aragog
like I was
died
like,
in the middle
no
of the spiders.
Way. I understand he's a giant, so maybe he has like tougher skin, like because of the dragon hide. But that doesn't mean like 1,000 spiders wouldn't be able to overwhelm him.
Right.
I mean, unless they just were like, whatever, we don't really care. Just take him.
Never come back.
But never come back here again.
We are going to eat you.
Yeah. So he's not allowed to go into
because he's like, I can't
anymore.
believe it was only because of Aragog that they weren't eating me. And Harry's like, yeah, girl.
Oh, wow. Shocking.
That's crazy.
But maybe you're right, Adam, that they've just never told him because Harry doesn't say anything else here about it.
Right.
He's just like, oh
yeah, they told us that years ago, actually. Aragog said it himself.
Yeah, then I'm like, you know what, you guys, you have no one to blame because Hagrid doesn't even know. Although Hagrid probably would still find a way to defend Aragog, to be fair.
For sure.
But yeah, so Hagrid's not allowed to go back into the territory. He does seem a little upset by this because he's like, I've never not been allowed to go somewhere in the Forbidden Forest. But I was like, is that true with the centaurs? I feel like... I guess maybe Hagrid was allowed to come and go in there, wasn't he?
Yeah. Till he started getting in arguments with them. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, I thought, but whatever.
But I don't think the centaurs have like a specific area. Whereas like the acromantulas
like,
kind of have a nest.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
So then Harry tells Hagrid that Slughorn's going to come down for the send-off as well. Hagrid's like, oh no, you're not in trouble, are you? And Harry's like, no, he just seemed like he wanted to join. I think he's interested in, acromantula or whatever. So they get to like where Aragog is laying, and he's just like laying on his back with his legs like up to the sky. Yeah.
Hagrid has this line where he's like, yeah, I haven't really gotten to know Slughorn, which I guess was confusing to me because he was your professor at one point because he's the same age as he was in school with Tom Riddle.
Yeah.
Not that obviously he would not have been in Hagrid. Like he would not have asked Hagrid to be in the Slug Club or anything.
Yeah. But no, that's a good point because he went to school with Tom Riddle, so he would have been there because there only would have been one potions teacher. It's not like a situation.
It's not like current divination.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. They would have already known each other. Come on, Joe. Come on. Have a consistent through line, woman. Yeah. So again, when he was talking about Aragog laying there, I was like, how did he get him out of the forest? So Slughorn shows up wearing a black cravat. Do you know what is a cravat? Isn't it like an
a
silk? Yeah, like an ascot.
Right? It's like
Okay. And he's holding a couple of bottles of wine.
Because I think cravat in French is tie. I think that's how they. I think that's the
cravat?
word for tie in French.
Okay. Yeah. So Slughorn is like really, again, this is the side of Slughorn that is charming. He's really laying it on thick, really going on and on about how he's just so interested in, these types of creatures. Magnificent creatures. And Hagrid's like, I didn't know, it's not everyone appreciates how beautiful they are. And Slughorn's like, oh yes, oh incredible. But he's like clinking his little
bottles,
stoppers for the venom. Vials, the little vials he brought for the venom. And Hagrid is like wiping his eyes so he doesn't really see what Slughorn's doing. It's weird to me because I actually think if Slughorn was like, did you know that their venom is like really valuable? Would you mind if I took some to like help with like potion?
The cost of the burial.
You're paying me for my time, for my memoriam I'm about to give.
You have to pay the funeral home.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
For lifting the dirt. He like lifts the dirt at the end. This is my fee. But I feel like Hagrid would have been like, well, yeah, because I mean, he doesn't need it. So yeah, you might as well take it and use it for potions, like scientific purposes.
Yes, but I do like in this chapter that it is made through this and then the unicorn hair later that like Hagrid is just his love of the creatures is holistic. Like it's genuinely for Hagrid, not about the money in any way whatsoever.
Exactly.
And that is very like it's very altruistic for Hagrid. Whereas like clearly Slughorn
is like, what can I get? What else can I get while I'm in here?
Which, is another notch in the, like, see Slughorn's not that great of a guy.
Yes,
column,
exactly.
Which I think is, like, a smart way to do it, but also, like, I get it. I understand.
I see both sides.
It's a dead acromantula, girl.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't feel bad about the venom at all. I think the unicorn hairs, I was like, Hagrid, you should have been getting money for those, but that's fine. It was his choice to give it to Slughorn. I just hope
he makes it sound like he can just go in the forest and get more unicorn
whenever
hairs.
he wants.
They kind of just accidentally catch themselves on bushes and stuff. So you'll see random, which is so crazy. So in that, we'll get to the unicorn hair. But is it supposed to be that all his pots are hanging on one unicorn hair? Is that what? That's what it sounded like in my head. That's why he was
I think it was. I think there were multiple.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was kind of almost like a rope of unicorn hair type of thing. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, just proof, like you said, that Slughorn is he can be charming if he can get something out of it. So it's another example of him doing that. I just hope that he continued to be kind to Hagrid after this interaction and he didn't just stop talking to Hagrid. That is what I had in the back of my head. I was like, oh, is he? But then even then, he might only be continuing to have a relationship with Hagrid for what he might be able to get. Stuff. Yeah, yeah. So anyway, so Slughorn says a few words in honor of Aragog. Hagrid is overcome with emotion. So I do think Hagrid really does appreciate this from Slughorn. So what Slughorn says is nice and is a nice little send-off for Aragog. So I'm sure that meant a lot to Hagrid. Harry doesn't really say anything. Not that we thought he would. Harry is very much like a voyeur in this situation. He's just watching everything go down. So Slughorn's like, all right, let's go back into the hut, have a little drink, make a little toast for him. And he asks Harry to get on Hagrid's other side. I'm like, I don't know how much they could really support him, but okay.
Yeah. If Hagrid's going down, they're all going down.
Yeah, they're all coming with him. So they're back. They make it to the hut safely somehow, supporting Hagrid. Slughorn uncorks the wine that he brought, and then he tells Harry that he had it all tested for poison by a house elf. So again, Slughorn's not a great guy. It's just another oh my God. Are you kidding me?
Can I also say, how fucked up would a house elf get from literal wine?
I know, yeah.
Because from butter beer, they get drunk.
Yeah. I didn't even think of that. But yeah, because of Winky with the butterbeer and how she was wasted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can only imagine. They were like, I gotta sleep it off the rest of the day. So yeah, that's how he's confirmed that the wine hasn't been poisoned, which is terrible. He's like, I had it all checked after your friend Rupert, which I thought was funny. Your friend Rupert, was poisoned, unfortunately. So Slughorn has wine. Hagrid has wine. They do pour some for Harry, but he does not drink it. He's like, I know I need to remain clear-headed tonight, and I need to focus on getting this from Slughorn.
I wonder if it would fuck with the Felix Felicis. If you
yeah, it can't be good, right?
Is it drinking on Benadryl?
Yeah,
it just makes it worse.
Yeah. So while they're sitting in Hagrid's hut, Slughorn notices the unicorn tail hairs, this little collection that Hagrid has acquired, and asks if he's aware of how much it's worth. And Hagrid's like, I just like to use it because it's really strong and durable. So that's really all I use it for. And then Harry observes that he can see Slughorn looking around the room to try and see what other goodies he can find while he's in Hagrid's hut. So throughout the night, Harry is just observing. At one point, he does get a little nudge from Felix that he should refill the glasses of both men. And he's never been able to execute this charm before, but because he obviously has taken Felix Felicis, this is no problem.
Yeah.
So then he's able to refill their glasses without either of them noticing. Hagrid ends up gifting the entire collection of unicorn hairs to Slughorn, which Slughorn is very excited about this.
The refilling the wine reminded me of Agatha episode 3.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Hagrid is very drunk. Slughorn is also very drunk. Hagrid's like talking about his dad, Harry's parents. Slughorn singing a song about Odo. Hagrid basically just like falls asleep on the spot as he's talking about Harry's parents. And then Harry,
and how terrible it was.
Yeah, and how awful it was that happened. Harry uses this as like an in to start talking to Slughorn about like what happened, and then hopefully this will be able to connect him with getting the memory somehow. So he's talking about how his parents died. He's explaining, obviously, his dad died first, then, or I should say, like, were murdered. So his dad was killed first by Voldemort, and then his mother. And Slughorn is obviously, like, very shocked hearing this. Harry tells him that technically Lily could have run, like Voldemort wouldn't have killed her.
Right.
But because she basically sacrificed herself, obviously we know that's why Harry is like protected by Voldemort. Right. Or protected from Voldemort, sorry, not by. But he's going through just kind of like the last moments of his parents. And then Slughorn is very upset by this. And he's like, that's enough. I'm an old man. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to know. And Harry's like, oh, that's right. You knew her and you liked her, didn't you? Even though he like definitely remembers this.
I think you've mentioned
you did know her, mother. Didn't you?
Oh, that's right. It's so funny.
And he's like, oh, that's right. You knew her and you liked her, didn't you? And Slughorn's like, liked her? I can't imagine anyone like that met her didn't like her. Like everyone loved her. And he's like, so you liked her, but you won't help her son. You won't give me that memory. And I was like, all right, going in for the kill. We're going for it. And Harry's like, I am the chosen one. It's up to me to defeat him.
It's so great. Listen, there is a series of circumstances to get to this point, but it is funny that really all it took is Harry to be like, I'm the chosen one and I need the memory. Like, girl, you could have said that 6 chapters ago.
Yeah. And so he's like, I need this memory to defeat him. It's very important. Mm-hmm. And Slughorn's like, you're asking me to help you kill him? He's like, oh, you Harry is like, oh, you're afraid, like he'll know that you helped me. How?
I don't think
he's worried about
even
I don't think he's worried about Slughorn at all. I feel like Slughorn is so inconsequential to Voldemort's like now plans.
Right. Unless like I don't know. I mean, it's not like Voldemort has done a good job of like clearly keeping track of his fucking Horcruxes. So like, it's not. He like, I don't even know if he doesn't even realize that like Dumbledore's onto that aspect of the situation.
The whole thing, like looking for them. Yeah, I don't know.
Can I just say one thing? Yeah. If I had fucking Horcruxes, I would like know where they like. I wouldn't have them, to be clear, but like if I had pieces of my soul, I wouldn't just be like, and they're just out there. They're just out there floating in the wind and chilling. Like hopefully, it all in
various
works out
different areas.
Nobody ever finds them and destroys them because they're really consequential to me being able to stay alive for forever. Yeah. I would know where the fuck they are at all times.
Yeah. I
would do like every 6 months I would do like an inventory like it's a gap. Especially and I would know where my fucking Horcruxes were.
Especially if you have like 7 total.
It's not hard to count to 7, girl.
I guess it's because he was a smoke and then baby Voldy for however long. But now he has no excuse.
Now?
There's no excuse to not know where they are. It's like, come on, bro.
And also, he's too precious about these numbers. If I'm really committing to like I'm gonna live forever, Mama, I'm Horcruxing myself 1,000 times. Like you're never gonna be rid of me, girl. I'm not just going to keep it to a quaint little 7.
I would not ever want to live forever.
No, I wouldn't either. But like, this is like his downfall is like, he's so sure that he's like the greatest wizard of all time. That like no one's ever going to figure his shit out. And it's like, well, girl.
No one's ever going to be on to me. Well, the one you always feared, in fact, was. So Harry's like, don't you want to help destroy the wizard who killed Lily Evans? And Slughorn's like, of course I do, but I'm scared. And Harry's like, you need to be brave. You need to be brave like my mother.
You need to be brave. You need to be brave like my mother.
And Slughorn is like, this seems to work because he like seems to kind of, realize how important this is. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm not proud of what I did, in this memory. I'm really worried it did a lot of I did a lot of damage that day in what I said, what I shared with him. And after a moment, because Harry is like, the Felix Felicis is like telling Harry to just keep looking at him. Mm-hmm. Then Slughorn like lifts up his wand, takes the memory, puts it in a little vial for Harry.
That's why he had to get the vials.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Harry thanks him, and he asks Harry to not think too poorly of him after seeing the memory. And then he falls asleep drunk, just like Hagrid.
I don't remember the full memory, to be clear, but like, I don't know. I feel like I would not judge you too harshly for this.
No. I mean? I remember the memory, and he is like shocked that Tom is asking this.
Yeah.
And he is very good about being like,
I understand feeling guilty because it feels like you've helped in acquiring knowledge that like has led to a destruction of a lot of people, but like, he would have found it out, to be quite honest. If it wasn't you, it would have been somebody else. Yeah,
exactly. He would have found a way. Yeah. Because some people know about it, clearly. If Slughorn knows, there's other wizards that know. So he would eventually just have like Veritaserumed it out of someone.
Right. That's the thing is like, it's just like dark magic information. It's not like potion specific too.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that I'm always like, I mean, sure, he didn't find it in the restricted section, but like, I bet there's a whole book on it in Borgin and Burke, so you can just buy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's it. That's the chapter.
Ari, great job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That wraps up this chapter. Next week, we'll be reading chapter 23 called Horcruxes.
Oh,
we got a
we're
comment.
Here. We have arrived.
We got a comment.
Oh.
From Tabby Matha. Tabby Matha says, I'm with Ari. I am 31 and still ask for funfetti cake on my birthday. Acceptable other options are vanilla, lemon, or my mom's pineapple upside down cake.
Oh, Tabby Matha, you have good cake taste.
Great cake taste. Mm-hmm. I'm a yellow chocolate frosting. That's all I ever want, really.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I'll remember that now, though. Your preferred cake of choice.
Yep. Thanks for commenting. We love hearing your guys, whatever you guys think.
Whatever you guys want to share, you know, share it in the comments.
You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find your podcasts, as well as Spotify. As always, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so that we can get a perfect Newt score. 5 stars only, or else you'll have to attend the burial of another acromantula.
Oh, terrible.
Just like the furry legs.
I know whenever they talk about the hair, how much hair there is on them, I'm like, oh.
I have full body chills right now. Yeah. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HBAnxious or YouTube and TikTok at The Ampliverse. We are hosted on Spotify for podcasters, so thank you to them and are a proud member of The Ampliverse. Please check them out at theampliverse.com. Thank you, Ari.
Thank you, Adam.
And as always,
Knox.
The like silent refilling potion spell.
Oh.
Or refilling charm.